Hello and welcome. I'm Becky with Malvern Books, and we're thrilled to be hosting this event this evening, celebrating the publication of Laura Villareal's new book, Girl's Guide to Leaving. The celebration will include readings by Anna Portnoy Brimmer, T.K. Lay, and Alfredo Aguilar, in addition to Laura. Our first reader tonight will be T.K. Lay. T.K. is a multi-genre writer who grew up in Westminster, California. She received her MA from UCLA in Asian American Studies, is an alum of the Vona Voices Summer Writing Workshop, and was a 2019 PEN America Emerging Voices Fellow. Her writing has appeared in Strange Horizons, Uncanny Magazine, and in the W.W. Norton anthology Inheriting the War. She serves as a board member for Viet Rainbow of Orange County, a grassroots organization that primarily works with LGBTQ plus Vietnamese Americans and their loved ones. She loves the outdoors, and even more than that, she loves cats. TK?
Thank you so much. I'm going to put a link into the chat if you would like to follow along, if that's easier for you to follow along with my reading today. But congratulations, Laura. I'm so excited to be here. I love your book. I will shove it in everyone's face every chance that I get. We've been participating every year in a poetry group, and it's been so wonderful to see your poems take flight in such a wonderful way. So thank you for inviting me to be a part of your celebration. I'm really, really happy to be here. So I'll be sharing poems that I've been sitting on forever. This collection that I have is called In This Strange Place. And it's like a Southeast Asian, like intergenerational femme mythology type thing. So there's a lot of there's some stuff going on there. So the first poem is called Ruins. Oh, I'm going to put on my timer so I don't take up too much time. All right. Yeah. Okay. Ruins. All I can give you is permission to guard the ruins of a forgotten place. Rocio Carlos, The Other House. You broke on this strange place as a refusal, screamed the proof of living from out your chest. The wolves held you like a prayer in their paws, licked teardrops from your wincing eyes, whisker tickled air into your lungs. They dressed you in metal garments that bent and stretched with your emotions. They deemed you their protector, to guard the kingdom they had lost. It is forgotten now, all moss and algae, mosquito bite and carrion dust. They used to roam the hills in packs, bursting hymns to confetti skies. Every evening an ode to an expanse. The air was an exclamation point, punctuated by spices made for trade and not for pillage. Kumquat trees stretched crooked arms out toward a horizon that was neither hope nor haunting, merely a place for the sun to wake and slumber. A bridge floated across a blue-green pond from where the wolves found sustenance. They told you theirs was the land of poetry, but morning hawks came and plucked the teeth from their mouths. Now they live all rabid breath, foam at the helm of quivering lips. In the harsh light of the day, they whimper, hunting seeds to flower into replicas of the kingdom you are guarding. When night is dead and the moon blooms open-mouthed sorrow, see if you can undo your armor, big enough to grow an ear upon your chest. They will be howling, one sorrow to another. The O's align to the laughing mouths of the gods that left them there to die, or made them live. All right, the next poem is called Starters. Started gardening in like 2020, and tomatoes were the only thing that I could grow. Last year was a different collapse. The seeds I sowed lay fallow or fought the sun and died. Crying in the lawn, I came upon a tomato risen from bird shit. I built a fence from yard scraps and helped it grow. Shared those rare red gems with Dad the days before I moved. He said they tasted sweet and begged me to apologize. Silly fathers, the way they use fences to keep you small. In March, I bought tomato starters, not wanting to bother birds for miracles. I got 5 kinds. Daily I water them, trim their foliage, admire star-shaped bursts of bloom. Perhaps I'll harvest a bounty this year, tomatoes of all hues of reds and yellows. And if I don't, as is my luck with growth. I'll celebrate their long season of trying. Right, and the next one, okay, I'm good. Okay, the next one is called salriang. And salriang is durian. It's like a jackfruit and it smells like butt on the inside, but it's delicious. It's a delicious fruit. So this one is called salriang and it's part of the mythology. So we fisherwomen couldn't find salriang at the freezing markets of the strange place. But we had good noses and were willing to dig. One found embalmed beneath new parking lots, the fruit whose flavors had so long beguiled us. The fishermen forbade us to eat salriang. The stench reminded them of past, of death. Late at night, as the fishermen slept with clenched fists, with dreams of holding power, we tiptoed to the freezer, pulled out salriang pulped and preserved in plastic containers, out of the fishermen's line of sight. Our closed mouths became ovens, thawing out relics from lives we were told to leave. But why, we fisherwomen wept, our teeth cutting through fibrous fruit. Then one burst out a laugh, quickly covered her mouth. And one by one, we became alive again, a ripple of joy. Quietly, we laughed at our success, at this clandestine indulgence, laughed at all the things the men did not know, laughed at how men so cared about the smell of salriang, but not the foul odor of everything they left behind. Laughed about messes we had learned to clean, with orange sprays whose names did not roll easy off the tongue or the skin. By morning, the evidence had been cleaned, wiped, triple bagged, and tossed outside. No stringy, jaundiced pulp, no plump oval seeds in sight. Only a hint of it to those who bothered to notice. The stubborn and lingering scent, the mix of sweet and rot, kind of like the market square at the end of the day, or a dirty little secret. All right, my next one has spoilers for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So you can like close your ears or like turn off your audio for like a minute if you would like. And for what it's worth, I like the film. I think that's the title that I gave to the poem. So anyway, here it is. The only break Evelyn gets, hot dog fingers and a white woman. Wayman wades through nicely. It's Evelyn who whirlpools into joy's abyss, holds the everything everywhere, masters kung fu to keep her daughter's demons one-dimensioned. The two tumble like blankets in a too small washer, each one a weight to the other. From the window, we see Waymond sweeping, smiling, severing their union secretly. My first memory is Mom crying in a closet. I crawl to comfort her and am intercepted. Dad curls my hand into a pointing finger and instructs me to laugh. In our last year of speaking, Mom said I was makyai, and I suppose we are both lost in our legacy of losses. I wish I could sit on Harry Shum's shoulders, pulling his hair to ratatouille our way to her. I'd bend his elbow and fold his hands to his own face. That would make one sorry man. So if you haven't seen the movie, none of that will make sense, but maybe you'll see it one day. All right, and my last poem is a wish for all of you. It's called Let Your Darlings Live, and it's kind of intervening in the poetry editing mantra, which is like, or the line, the quote, the editing, like, rule that you should kill your darlings. So this is called Let Your Darlings Live. Take your darlings to the cat, who paws their contours in search of a recess good enough to nap in. Fold out your futon for this purpose. Lay down the good blankets. Buckle up and drive to Crystal Cove in low tide, poking unfurled anemone strands so they pucker like a mouth that keeps a secret. A spot on your shoulder escaped sunblock again. Time to find the aloe. Go to the yard and pluck lemons from the unwieldy tree. Shout the word sour, and everyone salivates at the very thought of pulp on the tongue. Dig out the good pitcher and crush acrid bounty with unyielding sweetness. Give your darlings a space on your bookshelf, a Lizzo song to dance to, a nook in your room where sometimes even you are not welcome. Introduce your darlings to other darlings. Make more darlings and let them live too. Do it all again tomorrow. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to hear everybody else.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, TK. Some incredible lines in there, right? You know, the air was an exclamation point. Oh, beautiful. And then celebrate their long season of trying. Oh my goodness, that was just lovely. Thank you so much. Our second reader will be Alfredo Aguilar. Alfredo is the author of On This Side of the Desert, selected by Natalie Diaz for the Stan and Tom Wick Poetry Prize and the chapbook What Happens on Earth. He is a recipient of 92 Wise Discovery Poetry Contest and has been awarded fellowships from MacDowell, the Breadloaf Writers Conference, and the Frost Plate. His work has appeared in the Paris Review, Waxwing, Poetry Northwest, and elsewhere. Born and raised in North County, San Diego, he currently lives in Central Texas, where he is a fellow at the Michener Center for Writers. Alfredo?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Like, there's so many, it feels so good to see like so many people in the chat, like, or just like here. It's so wonderful that we're all here to celebrate Laura's brilliant work. I just want to say that I think before I met Laura, I encountered her poems and have admired her even more since meeting her. But yeah, it's just, poetry is incredible. I'm gonna go ahead and read some poems, and I'm going to set a timer before I forget so I don't take up too much time. Let's see. All right. I woke up in the wilderness and could not tell what time it was. I walked beside you in the dark and you became a white owl. You flew onto a mesquite branch, turned your head, opened your small noble beak, looked into me, then flew away. I picked a fallen feather off the ground and let it dangle from my ear. I ate a cactus pear, spat out a thimble of silver. The saguaro told me, you can learn to live on the smallest giving, to hold a palm full of water and make it last a season. I looked up and the clouds on the moon shivered. I spoke with a coyote. He told me how the world was born. In the beginning, he said, an ocean. He licked my palms clean, told me I howl only to try and call back everything that is left me. There's some older poems, but I think they're still resonant for me, so that's always good. And hopefully they're resonant for people listening too. I tend to write a lot about my family, and I think just like really going over stuff, I was like, oh yeah, this is very much my thing. Next poem. On a ranch, my father broke horses, found discipline at the end of a whip, punished the wild colt for disobedience. It threw its body on him, flailed and left him covered in a new coat of dust, used rope to force the colt to kneel before him, and it never again tried to jump. My father was shaped by hands that were fatherless, withheld a warmth they did not know how to offer. His own hands grew thick with calluses. He learned berry, learned stone face, and called them strength. The night his mother passed, his voice was a quiet swell. A rope loosened in unbridled sorrow, bucked against the walls of his throat. It rose on its hind legs, nostrils flared. He bit his lip, felt the pull of a metal bar along his tongue, and did not weep. I'm gonna maybe do like a spooky. My mother says her childhood home is haunted, and that one night she overheard the frantic stomp of horse hooves coming from the backyard. Concerned they would escape, she warned her father. She went out to see. When he went out to see, he saw only the horses upright in their sleep, dreaming, but noticed each of their manes had been braided by some phantom hand. Another time, her small dog stood on the rooftop barking and quietly went silent. She could only hear the wind whistling. The dog disappeared and a week later returned in a man's arms. He found him in brush, trembling. The dog was thin and cowered as though it had fought something and lost. At the end of that week, his heart stopped. One evening, she and her family were outside talking with neighbors when they heard a lone flute singing from inside their empty house. They looked at one another, and my mother ran back inside to find no one and her flute locked away in its case. She tells me she never drinks water before going to bed. I ask why. She looks at me and says, I don't want to get up in the dark, walk to the bathroom, and have something find me. Let's see. I'm going to do one about childhood. Childhood is a realm that language charts like any map. Do you remember, as an infant, your mother bathed you in sugar water? Your father, having returned from work, lifted you up and you kissed his warm stubbled cheek, then winced because he tasted like the ocean. Here, your parents were only ever parents. You sat in the back seat singing along to a cassette tape, throwing syllables like fistfuls of rice. You placed a popsicle inside the microwave, said it was too cold. In the garage, you, your little brother and cousin chanted around a poisonous snake your father had severed with an axe. You plucked a pomegranate off the neighbor's tree and opened it with a bat. Your fingers, teeth, and t-shirt stained sticky purple red. On picture day, it was so warm you took off the button shirt your mother chose just for you and posed grinning in a white tank top. You danced home from the hospital with your newborn sister, whose name you had won in a coin toss. During a game of hide and seek, your mother whispered, hide where we leave the clothes, and you hid inside the dryer. You lay in that dark curved belly, refused to come out when everyone called your name, and no one ever found you. I got one more poem. This will be my last one. Just pull it up. This is for Laura. I begin the year inside a river, your arms around me, and beyond what either of us can see, this stream, steady and reliable, meets and pours into an ocean. I answered to new sugared names, cariño, tesoro, beloved, love, forgive me. In youth, I bound myself to what I knew would leave me, believed that was my worth. What I wanted most was to share my living with another. Now I wake before you teeter out of bed sleep-worn. I grind coffee, boil water, measure dark ground spoonful by spoonful. This is how everything is built. Cup after cup, kiss after kiss. I am making you a promise. This is all I know of devotion, that you will find me always at this blue hour waiting for you, that I will curl up beside you in our bed, be a single ear feeling your quiet and worrying sleep, that in your fever, I will bring you a blanket, cool, clear water, rub salve on the soles of your feet and slip pink marl socks over them. That will keep flowers in the vase of our small home because yes, it's true. Not only the dead are deserving of blossoms. That's my time.
That was just beautiful. That was just beautiful. So poignant and it's just so lovely. That was just, that last poem was so amazing too. I mean, I felt all of them were great. And that one about walking to the bathroom in the haunted house and have something find me, that was terrifying. So it was beautiful and terrifying. Our next reader will be Ana Portnoy Brimmer. Ana is a poet and organizer from Puerto Rico. She holds a BA and an MA from the University of Puerto Rico, is an alumni of the FMA program in creative writing at Rutgers University, Newark. To Love an Island, her debut poetry collection, was originally the winner of Yes Yes Books 2019 Vinyl 45 Chapbook Contest. She is currently working on the Spanish edition, forthcoming from La Impresora. Ana is the winner of the 92Y Discovery Poetry Contest 2020 and was named one of Poets and Writers 2021 debut poets. She is the daughter of Mexican Jewish immigrants, resides in Puerto Rico, and lives for dance party and revolution. Ana?
Thank you. I am so excited and honored to be here to celebrate Laura's debut, Girl's Guide to Leaving. And I just also wanted to say how grateful I am to just have been able to bear witness to Laura's process, her work, her brilliance. Thank you for letting me be a small part of all of it. I feel really grateful and honored. I'm going to quickly read two poems. It feels really hard to follow the readings that came beforehand and the one that is to come. The first one is called Strawberries from my book To Love an Island. Strawberries. I'd always been told strawberries couldn't grow in Puerto Rico. We didn't have the climate. Up here on this finca, past the carcass of Peñuelas' petroleum past, where even the hummingbirds are dizzy with height, small strawberry studs slip off like beads from a necklace on my tongue. The farmer picks them gently from their fuzzy casing, warm and tender from swallowing the world's beatings, as he shows us his budding coffee crop. Crecemos el café bajo sombra. I think of all the work we do in the shadows. Rearing coffee under the sun is hurried and stifles taste. Its flavor should be layered like the rock that makes this mountain of an island. All plants are carbon-husked patience, but coffee is a slow birth, bean of push that can take as long as 4 years to ripen. Intercropped with bananas, papayas, and pyrethrum to lure away pests, allow for just and solidary growth and abundant existence. This steep hill of harvest is everything we're slowly trying to become. The farmer says after the hurricane, they lost the majority of their coffee shrubs. Seeds were swept away with all else. Mass growers strike deals and offer seeds so local farmers can grow to sell back to them. We have to grow our own to be our own. He smiles, splits open a coffee pod, drops the pulpy body in my hand and tells me to try it. I'd always been told freedom would never come for Puerto Rico. We didn't have the climate. I asked the farmer about the strawberries. Son silvestres, he responds, and points to their beautiful excess. And I'm gonna share a newer one from this new project that I'm working on, which actually Laura has been a huge part of the process as well. So I'm so grateful to her for that. It's called I Think of Hurricanes, September 2020. I think of hurricanes while my hand fumbles. I think of hurricanes while my hand fumbles inside myself. I rinse off the fucking as weather's warm breath blows pinwheels across the Atlantic. The river smells thick, mangles furniture, drags forest logs into the ocean. Tiles on the coastline fall like mosaic rain. Houses along the shore are held hostage, their memories erased, refitted with blue glass and names like Casa del Sol. The fishing village has no electricity to store the day's catch. We've been under curfew for 3 years and every day is its own storm. I grow small volcanoes on the soles of my feet, barter for future by the pier, offer breadfruit, ginger in exchange. Paint walls purple and circle A's onto the abandoned town school, the fence crawling with cundamor, beheaded chickens in hallways, iguanas in the trees. In the evenings, the smell of ilang ilang makes me cry. The quiver of a plantain leaf. Downpours return me the child. I come hard and alone. Spend more time in front of the governor's mansion than at home. I talk to my plants while I water them. They tire of hearing me rage against the colony. I miss passing around a spliff, people's noses and mouths, how we point to things, ask each other if we're okay. My lovers are only as real as the day's cell signal. I no longer make plans beyond the week. Posterity will not have us. We're the children of crisis and there aren't even enough of its shambles to claim. Tonight, I'll dab ilang ilang oil on my wrists, sit on the balcony by the potted plantain, and watch the sky fall while I fuck myself. Wait to see which one will make me cry first. Thank you so much. And now I'm so excited for Laura to read.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. I'm gonna move over to Laura here. So Laura Villareal is the author of Girl's Guide to Leaving from the University of Wisconsin Press, 2022, and the chapbook, The Cartography of Sleep, which was published in 2018. She has received fellowships from Stadler Center for Poetry and Literary Arts and National Book Critics Circle. Her writing has appeared in Guernica, AGNI, American Poetry Review, and elsewhere. Laura?
Hi, everyone. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. The list of names of people who are here. Oh my gosh. This is like the best reading. I'm so glad for Zoom because now I can see all of you. And I'm so grateful to Anna and TK and Alfredo for reading with me. It's my dream lineup. And oh my gosh, all my favorite poets are here. So I'm very excited to be here. Malvern is my favorite bookstore. If anybody is in the area, they should definitely go by and get some books. Let's see. So I'm going to start with the title poem from my book, Girl's Guide to Leaving. Anna actually read an early version of this back when I didn't even know this was a collection back then. Girl's Guide to Leaving. In the beginning, there were white owls with the faces of women, the ones your grandmother warned you about, the ones your mother said were only Mexican folklore. But now you see them everywhere. As you drive late at night on a road that turns sharply like a wind-up toy, reminding you it doesn't belong to you and never will. You know the remedy. Hug the curves until they croon for you like your grandmother's music boxes. You've always known how to charm a place into loving you back. But for now, this state, this road, and even the sky doesn't belong to you. Your want sparks a miracle of white feathers. Your want cores you awake each morning. You come from a long line of wandering men who cut night in half just to leave a city with an infant cooing in her sleep. In the beginning, women sold their hearts for freedom and were vilified in legends. You're the first girl in your family to never stop moving. Your legend is that you write your own legend. Heartless girl, if you don't keep moving, any place could become a cage. And you've already escaped once. Luck doesn't occur twice, you know. Before skipping town, the last light casting your shadow should be neon red of a Texaco star. Sidle up to your 56 Eldorado. The gas station attendant won't remember you, but he'll remember the Nautilus tattoo on your ankle, so out of place in the desert. You leave your skeleton milkweed at home and trade up, maybe for some gravel ghost, as white as a cigarette wish. You imagine their stolen money filling an attaché case in your trunk instead of crumpled cans, all sharp edges, glimmer like spinning wheels to prick your finger. But out in the scrub brush, there are no fairy tale endings, only legends of women pleading into the night air. The long trajectory of grief. A squeak cracks bright like hot water. Before the sun has licked across the fields, I wonder how to save myself before guilt sets like a stain. I wonder if the constellations above me can lift shame, or if they're only a temporary solution for what I feel. In the morning, I find 3 wild boars in the street dead, a red bumper lying near one of their carcasses. Is the nature of a crash to always leave something behind? Fog glimmers up from the road forsaken by first light. I pretend not to notice your absence, how my car isn't spiced with your oak moss and mint anymore. But I pray the vultures pick me clean like a Tibetan sky burial before anyone smells the grief on me. Oh, I want to read this poem. It's called Baby Teeth. I think sometimes when you're writing, it feels like you wonder where the voice of the poem comes from. And I feel like this poem in particular is very different than anything that I've written in the process of it. It just felt like someone else was kind of like writing through me. Baby Teeth. Some afternoons, music sways like a broken screen door in a distant part of a house I was never a god in. It's flooded with marigold light, and it makes sense that my milk teeth have been traded to deep South spiritualists. They say I was born fanged and feathered like no child from heaven should be. A miracle that when I lost those teeth, I became human. My feathers burned one by one each year of my life. I'm tired of the way my mouth fills with guava seeds like infant pearls after. Give me blood from pomegranates. I demand tears in every screen door in the South until they fall off their hinges or every onyx tooth is planted in the ground around my body. Wait, let a song come first from a black storm rolling over the still sorghum fields. I am nothing if not determined to recreate myself as a god, so let the birds steal my teeth from the ground and hide them in their babies' open beaks. Listen for the heavy stillness before the rain, and know I am waiting to become whole again. I'm so happy to see so many Ivona folks here tonight in particular. A lot of them were in my poetry workshop with Willie Perdomo, and Willie had us write every night, but at one point he had us write what he calls the hard poem. And I want to read what my hard poem, the poem that I thought was the hard poem. It's no longer the hard poem, but what I thought was the hard poem back then. If I invited you to love me, I'd tell you I'm a four-way intersection in a town made for shooting movies. And yes, the traffic light still works. I'd tell you my burial ground planted a home and everything I own fits in my tear ducts. I'd tell you even after long-term collapse, black holes go undetected. I'd tell you my Netflix queue is trash because some nights elongate and I trick myself into thinking a rom-com will bore me to sleep, but I watch the whole damn movie until crying I fall asleep every single time. I'd tell you I don't think ideal love looks anything like a rom-com. I'd tell you most people don't know roly-polies are crustaceans and ask what else people misidentify. I'd tell you I've gone to museums 52 times this year, but I only go when I'm lonely. I'd tell you I'm not always sure being alone is worse than allowing someone to splinter me. I'd tell you I've never seen a relationship that wasn't barter or been in one that wasn't outright robbery. But vicarious living isn't enough anymore. I write quite a bit about my family. I'm originally here from Texas, so this one is about San Marcos and San Antonio. My mother's family lives in San Antonio, and my dad's kind of just like the central Texas area, but they're originally from East Texas. Thanksgivings, San Marcos, Texas. Around noon, the sheriff pulled up to my aunt's house. My cousins had been shooting guns around back. Bullets fell like ash in the neighbor's yard. My mom told me to stay inside. I didn't understand how anyone could hang a Confederate flag in their living room. I sat on cowhide underneath a pair of antlers and tried to understand keeping the dead as trophies. I was 9. My skin was the color of deer pelt, not bone white like my cousins. I wandered the property by myself. As I wandered, I found bones shattered among the wildflowers. I leapt back, got caught on the fence. Cacti grew near the barbed wire without blooming. Like Pappy, I was disinclined to speaking. He only spoke to remind my aunts and uncles we didn't cross the border crossed us. By this, he meant, like cacti, we only thrive because of our shallow roots. San Antonio, Texas. I remember teeth and the pozole, smoke clouded like carnations from my uncle's Marlboros. My mom said it was hominy, not teeth. My imagination outgrew my body in this house. Monet and Renoir filled the walls in the den. No cousins here, at least. Everyone looked like me, and Grandma had an out-of-tune piano I loved. I played Ode to Joy until her dog Pete howled. She always told me to stop feeding the stray cats under her rose bushes. My brother played Game Boy on her ivy green couch. After dinner, I wound all the music boxes and sat outside watching the sun burn the skyline and into vine charcoal silhouettes. And then I'd like to end with kind of a long poem. It's a bedtime story. It's called 8 Chickens and a Paper Mache Human, a Bedtime Story. Imagine if it was steam powered, the brass endoskeleton heaving, angled movements rigid, 16-taloned feet pulling levers in tight precision, roiling clouds and feathers peeking through uneven paper layers, steam warping the paper inside out. Imagine the paper mache human lays awake at night, white light of a billion stars rushing through the window blinds, each chicken nested in a secret bunker below the floorboards, softly cawing in their feathered sleep. The paper mache human continues smiling, never blinking in the moonlight of absence, perhaps thinking about the human family sleeping in the other wall boxes, wondering if they dream about being made into paper cranes like he would if he could dream. Curious why a big box full of smaller boxes is called a house, and if longing can be solved by folding it small enough to fit in a pocket. Outside, the coyotes sharpen their knives on each other's whetstone teeth. Like all good squatters, they write field notes and watch until the day they massacre a lineage. Imagine the smallest human in the family wrestling tumbleweeds in the dust every day, while chickens inside the paper mache human eat corn nuts in the shed, building a rocket to take them away from Earth. They've learned to make fuel from grinding their eggshells. Every sacrifice is a promise for better. The paper mache human knows these plans don't include him. He knows the chickens will leave his body in a fleshy heap, or perhaps ripped into confetti to celebrate their success. His brass endoskeleton will be used for parts or discarded in the desert with all the other skeletons. A gathering of tumbleweeds is called a departure, but sometimes the smallest human thinks it's called a wish. Someday, the small one knows the coyotes will come with knives in their mouths and steal his good avocado growing land for themselves. Not even the tumbleweeds will protect him. He worries about future feudalism. He worries he'll grow up to be like his pop or a vanishing point on every skyline. He worries more about this than the coyotes and begins humming a song. He once heard the body's acoustics can convince all good things to stay, can make time spin around in the same moment for eternity. But it isn't true. The smallest human hums and the rumbling of the chicken's rocket muffles his vibrations. The coyote uses this opportunity to attack, but can't stop coughing when they smell burnt eggshells. The departure of tumbleweeds gets blown away by the rocket's thrusters, and the paper mache human flies for the first time, imagining himself a paper crane into a nearby loquat tree, still smiling. His arm sways as if waving. Imagine the small human wasn't mistaken, that a departure is actually a wish. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Laura. Wonderful. Your friends are, I hope you get a chance to read all the chat notes because they're just amazing and they're so spot on. Your voice is incredible and your writing is really wonderful. So congratulations so much on this great collection. This is wonderful that you have this publication and that you chose to have us host this for you. We're thrilled with that. Now, I did want to mention that we do have the books, that we have Laura's books at the store as well as Alfredo's. We may have other ones too. I'm not sure, but I know for sure those two. We are located at 613 West 29th Street here in Austin, Texas. Open from 12 to 5 Tuesday through Sunday. We'd love to have y'all come see us next time that you're in town. But for now, Laura, it's been such a pleasure, such a pleasure. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to say tonight before we close this up.
No, thank you so much. And I'm just so happy that all of my friends have been here. And I'm so grateful for everyone's support. This book would not have been possible without each of you.
Wonderful. Well, good night, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And